Okay guys, so another little hobby I've been partaking in is Barbie restoration and repaint. So here I have a magnifying glass, let's see, and I have the doll head which I've cleaned off her paint with, oh sorry, pardon my reach. This stuff was super cheap. I actually got it at Big Lots, 100% acetone. That is the stuff you want. It makes taking the makeup off so much easier. So this is a old bubble cut. She is in really good condition. Her hair looks good. The only problem is she does have a little slit right there, but her makeup was not in good condition. So that's why I took off all the paint. Her vinyl is a little shiny, but after cleaning it, I cleaned her with soap and water, and after I used the acetone, and her face is a lot better. I'll show you a picture of what she looked like before. So I'm gonna put her back on her little work stand here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a super tiny fine brush, and I use watercolors, which you can see my watercolors over here. I use watercolors and I use acrylics. These are just craft acrylics that I use. So I'm going to be using this white craft acrylic and this black, and I will also be using my watercolors too. So when you're using acrylics, I have found them to be too thick, and so when you put it on the doll's face, it just kind of ends up being too globby. Here's an example of that here. If you look closely, you can... Now, this doll I used acrylic and watercolors and watercolor pencils for her. And the white of her eyes, I used the acrylic, and I just don't like how kind of chunky and weird it was. You could see the brush strokes. I don't like that. But if you water it down, you have a lot less brush strokes. So I got my water here, got my acrylic paint here, got my doll head here, and I'm going to start painting. I don't know how this is going to work, but okay. I like to hold the doll head mostly. I'm looking at it from this angle. Wet my brush and get a little wetness. Oh, there we go. I don't know, you can't really see that, but I just added a tiny bit of water just to water down the acrylic. Put my glasses on because this is definitely a precision job here. Looking through my magnifying glass, and I'm just gonna paint. This brush is actually a little thicker than I like. Can you believe it? Let me get my other trusty brush out. Now these brushes over here, is that the other one? No. This brush is a good brush. It's a natural hair too, so it's one of my higher quality watercolor brushes. And see how thin? It is so thin. So I'm going to use that. Just going to pick up a little bit of, and I also have a towel here because when you're working with watercolors and acrylics and you're using paint, you really need to get the consistency right. It is a very tedious job. What I'm doing is I'm just kind of moving the pigment around. Different vinyls from different eras of Barbies work differently with the paint. So here I'm going to put the acrylic on just a little thicker. A little better. I want to let it dry. Acrylic dries really fast. I'm going to do the other eye, which I have a little bit of water with my acrylic paint. And it's like the consistency is key. You know, you really want the perfect paint consistency. And steady hand. No distractions. Go to your happy place. Focus. Yeah. But I mean, this is just like the undercoat, and we're going to be putting other makeup. And so one eye here is the first eye, of course, is kind of a mess up eye. See, there's extra paint around it. This is the good eye. But I think I'll be able to work with that because this, like I said, this is just base. We're going to be putting some makeup under her eye, so that should help. But my little trick, if you do mess up, well, we're using acrylic paints here, so we can go in and wet it and lift it. So I'm wetting the eye, just with the whole entire eye. And then I'm going to dry my brush and I'm going to lift the paint. Or I can even take a Q-tip and really, yeah, suck up that paint. Much better. Okay. Yep, there we go. All right, I like that better. So I was able to kind of wash the eye a little bit because it was just a little too much underneath. It's a long process doing this. So I'm going to continue getting the right consistency, painting, layering, and I'll show you what she's going to look like. Okay, so I've been layering the blue and trying to get that side eye. And like I said, you know, these are just the base colors and I will be outlining them, so they should look even better. But that's what the eyes are looking like right now. Okay, so focus. So I didn't like how this eye here, right there, this one, before I didn't have enough white of the eye there. So I just went over it with a little more white, kind of made that iris a little smaller. And now it definitely matches a lot better. And yeah, there we go. I mean, that's better. And now I need to add my pupils. All right, so she is done, 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 done. Here is the finished product right here. Her face is kind of shiny because I used that sealant stuff. The eyebrows are definitely the hardest part. What I did for the eyebrows was I used a watercolor pencil. I like to use watercolors and acrylics, but I used a watercolor pencil to kind of draw in, and then I wet my brush and I just kind of brushed them in. So the sealant I've used is this stuff. Everybody, all the Mr.
Super clear.
UV cut. So that everybody, this is what all the doll people use. So yeah, there she is. There she is. And so it's shiny right now because I just sprayed it, but it will turn to a matte finish and look normal. So there's my restored Barbie head. Not bad. Pretty excited about it. So the original doll versus, yes, there we go. See, the lighting's not that great, but there they are. This doll was in really bad shape when I got her. Well, I mean, basically somebody had tried to do a repaint on her, but they didn't actually paint her. And I painted her. Though he's telling me I should take the wig off. And she might be right. There we go. So that's what I did. Totally different style. Let's see if we can get her better. Oh, there we go. There's her makeup.
She's always had gymongous lips.
Yeah, I guess Zoe thinks I accentuated her lips, but you know what? She's pretty exaggerated as it is. Now look at this one. That's the original, untouched. Simple, plain, beautiful. And then crazy. I don't know. I was just playing around with it.
You can tell us what you think in the comments. Because, you know.
I was trying to give her a little, like, expression, too. Give her just a little more life, you know? I feel like...
Like going overboard with her makeup.
Well, overboard with the makeup, but then, like, her eyes and the eyebrows and the...
It's kind of hard to get some detail when all you have to work with is a tiny sliver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, that's the other Barbie restoration I was worked on, and then... And thanks for watching.